Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
How do forensic scientists gather evidence from clues and murder weapons left at crime scenes? We're going to give you a behind-the-scenes look.
Plus, San Antonio continues to feel the impact of the migrant surge at the border. You're looking live at the Migrant Resource Center right here in San Antonio. It's on San Pedro Avenue. Still a busy scene there tonight as people try to get help before they head somewhere else in the U.S.
The increase in migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border nearing an all-time high. Customs and Border Protection says 9,000 migrants were found yesterday alone.
Yeah, and that's nearing the single-day peak of 10,000 migrants back in March of 2020 when Title 42 was first enacted. Now, many of those migrants made their way into Eagle Pass. That city's mayor estimates that about 5,000 people have crossed into that city over the last few days. That's where we find the night team's Daniela Ibarra with a first-hand look at the situation there on the border.
We've seen these migrants come in waves. I spoke with a couple of them who say crossing this spot of the river was actually pretty easy. But once they get to this side of the border, the mayor says it causes problems for the city of Eagle Pass. Masses of migrants waiting in Eagle Pass for their chance to be processed into the United States.
This is something that we've never encountered.
Mayor Rolando Salinas says the thousands coming through are squeezing the city's resources. It's why he says he issued a disaster declaration.
It's had a big impact on our security. We have a lot of people just walking around the streets.
He says healthcare facilities are overwhelmed with the amount of migrants they've treated. In just the past 2 days, Salinas says 2 people drowned while trying to cross, a 4-year-old girl and an adult man.
Now the hospital is swamped, and we need help in that area as well. I would say 95% of the people are upset and frustrated at this situation.
Eagle Pass resident Juan Cruz has a different view. He says the influx doesn't bother him because he knows the migrants are looking for a better life. Salinas says mayors from other border cities, the state, even Florida have helped. He now wants the federal government to step in.
Do something, please. Address the situation.
This bridge connects the U.S. to Mexico. It's still open here in Eagle Pass, but there's another bridge in town the mayor says is closed because Border Patrol just can't keep up with staffing that and keeping track of the migrants here at the border. The mayor says that's a huge economic hit because they can't collect the toll money from that. Reporting in Eagle Pass, Daniela Ibarra, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Daniela. Bus after bus arriving in San Antonio, some dropping migrants off, some picking them up. Much like we've seen the last few nights, San Antonio's Migrant Resource Center, a hub of activity. Patty Santos joins us live along San Pedro Avenue. Patty, people inside and outside of that center tonight.
Yeah, and they're all waiting. Many of them are waiting for money. Maybe of them are waiting for family loans to come in so that they can buy tickets, bus tickets, plane tickets to get to their next destination. Meanwhile, you can see right behind me, this is the scene. This is actually a much calmer scene that there was just a few minutes ago as people started to go inside.
A mi destino donde me lleve nuestro Señor.
Carlos Daniel crossed the border a week ago and arrived in San Antonio just a few days ago. He's waiting outside the Migrant Resource Center, hoping relatives support him financially so he can buy a bus or plane ticket to his final destination. Jose Daniel Montilla crossed the border 15 days ago after an 8-month journey from Venezuela. He was deported several times. He too is waiting for a chance to get going, hopefully, he says, to New York.
No me estoy quedando aquí porque no me recibieron.
¿Por qué?
Porque no tengo papeles.
He was not processed by immigration when he crossed the border, so he doesn't have documents required to go inside the Migrant Resource Center, where food, water, and help is offered.
Cristo murió por nosotros.
Luckily, community members like this preacher show up to offer encouraging words and water and snacks. The City of San Antonio Migrant Dashboard shows nearly 600 migrants were processed on Wednesday, but sometimes there are many more people still waiting for their turn.
And I've talked to several people who tell me they're very grateful for the help they have received. The San Antonio Food Bank is collecting items to help the migrants that are arriving here. Here's what they're looking for. They're looking for new clothing, hygiene items, baby supplies, shoelaces, and flip-flops. But the city of San Antonio is asking people not to drop off those items here to the location. We saw a few people that were coming in to donate clothing. And look, this is where they ended up right here. And this is one of the reasons the city wants people to just drop off those items at the food bank. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, drop it off, let them distribute them. Thank you, Patty. In 2018, this was the scene. 5 people were killed in a fire at the iconic Village Apartments in San Marcos, with Jacoby De Leon O'Shea Ferguson arrested for arson 5 years later. Well, now the Hays County District Attorney says Ferguson has been released from jail on a personal recognizance or PR bond. Under state law, a jail defendant must be indicted within 90 days or be given one of those PR bonds. Well, nearly 3 months after his arrest, Ferguson has yet to be indicted. The PR bond means he must appear at future hearings on the case. His bond set at $250,000.
A man is accused of letting his dog attack another man. The suspect's name here is Marcus Davila. Investigators say it happened this morning on North Colorado and West Martin near Tobin Park. Police say that Davila and a 53-year-old man were arguing when Davila let his large dog attack the other man. We spoke with the director of Animal Care Services, who is shocked that dog attacks that we've been seeing recently are done by pets.
It concerns me that we have any dog attacks happening, particularly when we see that the vast majority of these attacks that are happening are owned animals. We could solve most of the problems associated with dog bites, serious bodily injury events and things like that, by just keeping our animals on our property.
By the way, a spokesperson for ACS identified the dog in this attack as a Cane Corso. The victim had serious lacerations on the left side of his neck. And by the way, Davila is charged with 2 felonies tonight.
The family of a little girl who was tortured to death last year will have to wait longer to get justice. This goes back to the tragic death of 5-year-old Mercedes Lozoya. This man, Jose Ruiz, charged with injury to a child, was supposed to go to trial on October 2nd. Today, his attorneys asked a judge for a reset so they can sort through evidence, and the judge agreed. So now he will wait until October 23rd to find out when that trial begins. By the way, the girl's mother, Katrina Mendoza, also charged in this case. She took a plea deal.
Tonight, some closure for the family of a Taft High School graduate. Josh Wardy's family waited more than a year and a half for justice in that soldier's murder. Earlier this month, the man who shot and killed Wardy was convicted. Wardy's mother and high school basketball coach sat down with the night team's John Paul Barajas to remember her son and also the legacy that he leaves here in San Antonio.
This is my second adopted land. I ran because of the killing. If this happened here, why even I'm here?
A better and safer life for her son, Josh Wardy. That's why Rose Wani says she left South Sudan. But after his murder at the hands of a fellow soldier, Wani has second thoughts.
My whole life is shut down.
Wardy was killed outside a bar in Manhattan, Kansas in February 2022 while stationed at Fort Riley. The now former soldier accused of killing him was found guilty on September 11th. Among the charges, capital murder, attempted murder, and aggravated assault.
I can go to sleep in peace.
Wani says her son always made it a priority to protect her. But the day she lost him, she says her family grew.
But you are watching from heaven, your teammates, your coaches never leave your mama alone. And your mom will never be alone.
The brotherhood Wardy created while leading the Taft Raiders basketball team is one that can't be broken and has only gotten stronger in the face of tragedy.
The impact that he had on those boys and our team and our program and our community has been felt.
Head coach Carl Lawson explains, as good as Wardy was on the court, he was an even better person. Wardy's number 0 jersey, now retired.
We set up a scholarship in his name strictly on character.
This really hasn't gotten any easier, but the best thing we can do is honor him and remember the type of person he was.
The character that he had, they all respected him.
Now his former team raises money for the scholarship on the hardwood. An annual basketball tournament remembers a life cut short by creating a legacy.
We love you. We're just gonna try our best to meet you one day again.
John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
And you can feel that mother's pain. In other news tonight, one woman says that she went to the city. She went to her city council representative and also the local schools for help. And then the woman, worried about the busy intersection in her neighborhood, tried us. She tried KSAT. Her name is Catherine Hargett. She's worried about that construction on WW White in East Houston. You see it there. It's been going on for weeks. There are 3 schools within a mile of that intersection, including Sam Houston High School. Hargett says that she's worried because she sees students crossing the street all the time. But the thing is, that street doesn't have crossing signals or even a crossing guard.
You know, we're waiting for something bad to happen, to get someone's attention, you know, to finally say, hey, yeah, you know, let's get an officer or somebody to finally turn on the lights and get these ugly bags off.
Well, she certainly got our attention, and we found out that this is a TxDOT project that started back in July. Crews are making safety upgrades like adding traffic signals, and a TxDOT spokesperson says that crews should be finished with this project by next month.
San Antonio's been under stage 2 water restrictions since April of last year, but the number of citations issued by SAWS have quadrupled in the past few months. Those citations are against people who violate watering rules. We reached out to SAWS for comment on this issue, and spokesperson Ann Hayden told us through email, quote, most customers who receive a citation do not receive another one, and we do see a decrease in water use after a citation for residential customers, indicating that citations are effective at getting residential customers to reduce their use, end quote.
On a lighter note now, soon you're going to be able to go straight to Europe from the San Antonio International Airport. Yay. This afternoon, Mayor Ron Nirenberg announced the big news. Starting next May, you're going to be able to hop on a flight that goes straight to Frankfurt, Germany. Those flights are going to travel there 3 times a week. Condor Airlines is going to operate those flights. Their planes, by the way, carry more than 300 passengers, and you can already buy a ticket from the Condor website. By the way, round-trip tickets cost you about $980.
There's still time to sign up and join KSAT at this weekend's Head for the Cure 5K. The goal, to raise money for brain cancer research. 2023 marks the 10th year for the San Antonio event, which is held in honor of our late news director, Jim Boyle. You can sign up for Saturday's race at headforthecure.org/San Antonio. Just use the code KSAT for $5 off your registration fee. All right, we want to stick around because in a few minutes, you're going to unleash your inner detective. You're going to see how local forensic scientists solve violent crimes.
Most of us have seen Law & Order, CSI, and other crime shows, so you know how important forensic scientists are when it comes to solving crimes.
But have you actually seen how they do their jobs? Well, you're about to. Tonight, our RJ Marquez takes us inside the firearms lab at the Bexar County Forensic Science Center.
Forensic scientists are getting hands-on with guns at the Bexar County Firearms Lab.
Every firearm leaves its own pattern of tool marks, and this pattern is different at the microscopic level.
Holly Worden and the team test firearms, cartridges, and bullet casings collected from crime scenes.
We're looking at 2 elements. One would be the fired cartridge case, and one would be the bullet. So the bullet itself is going to pass through the barrel. Every barrel is going to leave its own pattern of tool marks on it.
Every firearm and bullet is unique like a fingerprint. It's a scientist's job to figure out how and if they were used during a shooting, but the lab has several tools to help.
If we need bullets for comparison, we have a big tank of water that I shoot into to retrieve bullets.
We're inside the firearms reference collection room. As you can see, there are up to 1,000 different firearms here, basically like a filing cabinet of firearms here. Everything from AR-15s to handguns in this room. This is essentially used for investigators as a training tool to help with all of these cases that they're working on.
Today, Worden is working on a case that involves more than 120 fired cartridges from 4 shootings. She has to compare every single one of these bullets and calibers.
I determined that there's, 12 or 13 different firearms represented in shootings over like a 2-day period.
Worden and her 2 colleagues have analyzed close to 2,500 individual items of evidence so far this year. It's over 100 items of evidence analyzed per examiner each month, plus more test shots at the gun range.
There's not a lot of jobs where people can say they get to shoot guns as part of their job, so it's definitely interesting.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
It really is fascinating to get a look inside at what they do.
Well, and I've heard it explained before in trials about the different markings, that each gun has its own individual markings that it will leave on a bullet.
Yes.
At a microscopic level. So
like
it's
a fingerprint. Yeah, it's fascinating. All right, 87 degrees out there. That's a live look at I-10 right now. And Mia, you were talking about it's muggy.
It is.
There's no other way to describe it.
And it's just hot for this time of year. I mean, we had highs, check this out, in the upper 90s and even a few low triple digits across south central Texas. Now, we were 2 degrees shy of a record here in San Antonio. Del Rio, however, tied their existing record that was set back in the 1990s. You see there on the banner, the average is 89 degrees for us here in San Antonio. We were 9 degrees above that. So yes, hotter than average. That trend is just going to continue as we wrap up the work week tomorrow, head into the upcoming weekend. However, as we head into the beginning of next week, we are expected to find a few subtle pattern changes here in south central Texas. That does look to allow for at least a few chances for rain to return back into the forecast. So let's talk all about it, starting off, though, with a look at your KSAT 12-hour forecast, planning out your Friday. We're going to continue to see the humidity build overnight. So tomorrow morning, I think a few clouds are going to work back in because of that. A temperature around 77 degrees at 7 a.m. By lunchtime, we start to see some of that morning cloud cover break up a little bit. I think we'll see plenty of sunshine into the afternoon. Already hot, though, for any lunchtime plants, a temperature around 89. And then we've got a forecast high pointed around 97 degrees here in San Antonio. So yes, warmer than average. Most of us climbing into the mid to upper 90s. Sure, a rogue triple digit reading certainly possible, like what we saw earlier this afternoon. And we're just going to keep a 10% chance for a very stray shower in the forecast. Better chances of finding that farther off to the south as well as the east. Most of us, unfortunately, are going to miss out tomorrow. Notice your trend into this weekend. By the way, the autumnal equinox is on Saturday. It is definitely going to be feeling like summer still, upper 90s expected. But as we head into the beginning of next week, those temperatures come down a little bit more to the tune of the low to mid 90s. And there are those increasing rain chances, especially by Monday evening and into Monday night. So let's talk about that setup. You can see we're pretty quiet here in south central Texas right now. A little bit of a different story out in far northeast Texas. We've got 2 centers of high pressure in control, and that's still going to be the case tomorrow and into Saturday. We're pretty quiet across our neck of the woods, but that high pressure system is going to scoot farther off to the southwest by Sunday. That leaves just enough room for a little boundary to work into central Texas. I think across our northern counties, we could find a couple of isolated storms, specifically the hill country, southern Edwards Plateau. Sunday night, then we catch a break into the first half of your Monday. And then as we see some upper level support, a few more pieces of energy work across the Lone Star State Monday night, we could find some scattered rain and thunderstorms. So definitely something that we will be monitoring. It's likely not going to be for everybody, but any little bit helps. And also with those temperatures coming down into next week, that's nice too. So we just got to get through the weekend and we'll fine tune those details for you.
Mia, thank you.
All right, usually by week 5, the weather's kind of let off a little bit, but they're still sweating out there on the gridiron.
They are, and week 5, we certainly kicked off with some great games tonight, including Sotomayor versus Holmes. The Wildcats coming off 4 straight shutouts, and they allowed their first points tonight. That's kind of crazy, right? And in the NFL, we got bad news for the Cowboys and Trayvon Diggs coming up.
Hi, I'm Coach Morales, and it's time for some big game coverage.
That's That's right, Coach. It is time for big game coverage. The Holmes Huskies facing the Sotomayor Wildcats in District 29 6A play. First quarter Wildcats ball. Quarterback Logan Plate goes over the top to number 10 Jaden Gutierrez for a 22-yard touchdown. The Wildcats led 8-0 after a 2-point conversion. They would score the first 15 points of the game, and the Sotomayor Wildcats win 39-7 to remain undefeated at 4-0. Let's go to Alamo Stadium for a District 14 5A2 matchup between the Sam Houston Hurricanes and the Edison Bears. Second quarter, Canes up 14-0, looking for more. Quarterback Amir Calhoun rolls out to his right and throws down the field to Jeremiah Espatia for a big gain inside the 5-yard line. Those two have a great connection. Moments later, play action, and Calhoun will roll to his right, and he connects with John Peoples, 3-yard touchdown to make it 21-0 Canes, and Sam Houston rolls 56-13. Time to shake hands at Rutledge Stadium, where the Wagner Thunderbirds are hosting the Kyle Lehman Lobos in a District 12 5A1 football matchup. First quarter, Wagner is on the move. Handoff goes to Davion Anderson, and he gets down to inside the 5-yard line. Big hit to end that play. Moments later, the T-Birds punch it in. Quarterback Cameron Smith scores on the keeper, and Wagner leads 7-0. Early second quarter, just before we leave, Wagner scores again. Braden Prass powers his way in to make it 14-0 Wagner, and Wagner takes it 42-14. Students at Linhoff Stadium were rocking to the beat of the band tonight. The Clemens Buffaloes were home to play the Odessa Broncos in the final non-district matchup for Clemens. Late second quarter, the Buffaloes are down 2 touchdowns when quarterback Nathan Alvarez goes deep over the top to Caden Turner for a sweet 56-yard touchdown reception with just 35 seconds left in the first half. Clemens trailed 28-21. Let's go to the scoreboard for that final and more scores. And Clemens falls 31-28 thanks to a walk-off field goal. East Central beat Canyon Lake tonight 58-16. And in 2 more scores, we have Southwest over Eagle Pass win 24-6, and New Braunfels beat Brenham 38-21.
Football coverage brought to you by Davis Law Firm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not just going to speak on anything way too early. Saw what I guess a couple of you saw, him leaving the field, but prayers hoping for the best, simple as that.
All right, but Dak and the Cowboys did not get the good news they were hoping for. Cornerback Trayvon Diggs suffered a left knee injury during today's practice. A subsequent MRI was performed that confirmed a torn ACL. A timetable for his return to play has not been established, but he is currently projected to miss the remainder of the current season. Now, this is a huge blow for the league's #1 overall ranked defense. Diggs was injured during a one-on-one session in practice, and he was seen leaving on crutches. Back in training camp, Diggs agreed to a 5-year, $97 million contract extension. Houston Texans rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud is coming off a career game, and he also put a scare into fans, and he was added to the injury report late last week with a right shoulder injury. He wasn't listed at all until Friday, and then his game status was questionable. Well, he faced the Colts, passing for 384 yards in the Texans' 31-20 loss. Yesterday, Stroud was asked how he's feeling.
I feel blessed. I feel good. Sitting here in front of y'all, man, I'm blessed, man. Football is a physical sport, and that's what I signed up for. But my body's fine. I'm all right. After week 1, you kind of get used to just getting hit, and the rehab that goes into that Monday, Tuesday, getting your body back for Wednesday, and so forth, so you can practice well. So that's really what I've been doing. But yeah, I feel good.
Texans cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. is not feeling good. He suffered a hamstring injury yesterday at practice. The team isn't sure how long he'll be out, but he's expected to miss Sunday's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars per reports. The Mission's looking to sweep the Sod Poodles after the break. Welcome back. The Amarillo Sod Poodles didn't seem like they were facing elimination in tonight's Texas League Division Series against our San Antonio Missions, who won the first game of the series. Top of the second, Amarillo's Seth Beer crushes this one deep to center, and when an outfielder starts looking towards the wall, you know this one is gone. A solo shot for Beer, who ignited the Sod Poodles' bats. Top of the fourth, 2 outs with runners on first and second. Giancarlo Cintrón grounds it to short, but Connor Hollis' throw takes a weird bounce, and it gets by Nathan Mortarella to bring home another Amarillo run as the Sod Poodles tied up the series a game apiece, winning 7-4. So that means the win or go home game is tomorrow night at 7 out at the Wolf.
All right, good. It's home.
It is home.
All right.
It's going to be a busy night tomorrow.
It sure is. That and BGC. Woo.
A lot to do. Thank you. We'll be right back.